ये आज के क्लास खा गया वो प्रिंसिपल दे रहा है वो क्लास फर्स्ट में। Dear learners, welcome to teaching learning session of consumer behavior. In our last lecture, we discussed about the various factors which impacts the consumer behavior, and in continuity with that, today we will discuss about few other factors which impacts the consumer decisions and consumer behavior ultimately. And one of those factors is personality and self-concept. It plays a very important role in consumer decision making uh, process, right? The concept of personality. What is the concept of personality? What is personality? Personality refers to a person's unique psychological makeup and how it consistently influences the way a person respond to his or her environment. What is personality? Every individual has different personality, right? Right. So what is personality? Personality is nothing but a unique psychological makeup, right? And how it consistently influences a way a person responds to his or her own way, right? So it is basically the psychology of a human being. Personality is the psychology of a human being and how one or an individual respond to his or her environment is the personality, right? There are various theory given by various authors to describe about the personality, right? The theories like the psychoanalytical theory given by the Freud, the social psychological neo-Freudian theory, then the trait theory and the self-concept theory. Let us discuss few of the theories. The psychoanalytic theory of Freud, right? Actually, Freud proposed that every individual's personality is a product of struggle among three interacting forces, that is, id, ego, and superego. Freud was a psychologist, right? And he tried to describe the personality through this theory, that is the psychoanalytical theory. He, according to Freud, actually the individual's personality is a product of struggle among the three interacting forces. Actually, according to Freud, that there are three interacting forces in each and every individual, and these forces, and he named these forces as id, ego, and superego. And there is a struggle among these forces, interacting forces. There is a struggle among these three interacting forces. There is a struggle among id, ego, and super ego, right? And according to this theory, these three systems are fully developed and are in state of balance in normal healthy person. However, when one or more these system is underdeveloped, then the internal balance is disturbed. This disturbance leads to maladjustment and dissatisfaction with self and the world in general. So, according to Freud, there are three components or the three interacting forces: the id, the ego and the superego. And according to this theory, all the three forces, right, are fully developed, right? They are fully developed and are in state of balance, are in state of a balance in a normal healthy person. They are fully developed, are in and are in state of a balance in normal healthy person. If uh, uh, if in any of the system, if any one or more system is underdeveloped, that is either id, ego or superego is underdeveloped, and because of this underdevelopment, the internal balance is disturbed, and this disturbance leads to the maladjustment and dissatisfaction with the cells and whole in general, right? So, according to Freud, the id is a sense of strong, inborn, basic, intrinsic drive that urges which are at the heart of a consumer's motivation and personality. So, what is id? Right? So, id is actually inborn, basic, intrinsic drive. The function of it is to discharge tension and is frequently does this by demanding the instant gratification even at the cost of violating the norms of the society. And the id therefore operates on what is called the pleasure principle. Psychologically, the id is source of all desires and wishes that exist in the form of unconscious image and fantasies. Since all tensions are not immediately satisfied, the human being encounters the frustration. So, what is id? Id is nothing but the intrinsic desire, basic inborn, basic intrinsic drives, right? That is id, right? And then this id is discharge. This id is discharge tension, right? And and this it do it frequently by demanding the instant gratification even at the cost of the norms of the society, right? It is what is it? That is the inborn basic intrinsic drive is it, and this it wants to satisfy all its needs and wants, even if to satisfy even at the cost of violating of societal norms, right? And so it is known as the pleasurable principle, right? It is a source of all desires and wishes and that exist in form of unconscious images and the fantasies, right? And all, as we all know that all needs and wants cannot be satisfied immediately, and this and when these cannot be satisfied immediately, the human being encounters frustration. It is like a child, right? Child want each and everything at the same time, right? If he or she doesn't get the thing, then it leads to frustration. It is like a child in each and every human being. Then comes ego. Ego comes into being because of limitations of it in dealing with reality and operates therefore on what is called the reality principle. It is what? It is pleasurable principle. I want to have this at any cost. I should have this at any cost. It is like a child. I don't care whether how much you have to pay, or whether societal norms allows us to do that or not. Child, it is like that. It is like a child. It is a pleasurable. It operates on the pleasurable principle, right? While ego is deals with the reality principle, right? Ego comes into being because of limitations of id in dealing with reality, right? It is not able to deal with the reality, but ego deals with the reality, right? Therefore it is known as it is called the reality principle. It seeks to achieve a pleasurable demand of it in a realistic way as possible. Since many of its demands may be unrealistic, the ego develops a way to postpone, deflect, or substitute the feasible alternative to satisfy the id. Right? It wants each and everything. Those demands could be unrealistic. Ego say therefore it works on the unrealistic principle, that is the pleasurable principle. Right? While ego is what? Ego works on the realistic principle. Right? It wants to have each and everything, right, whether it's realistic or not, right. The ego plays an important role. Ego seeks to achieve a pleasurable demand of it in a realistic way. Ego try to satisfy the needs and wants of the id in a realistic way, in a rational way, right. Since many of the demands of it could be unrealistic, so ego try to develop the way to postpone those needs and wants or demands, or to deflect or to substitute the feasible alternative to stay satisfy the needs of id. While superego, the third factor is the third force is the superego. Superego strives for perfection, right. It develops through the reinforcement of approved behavior pattern and result from the internalization of societal and the parental standards of what is good and bad, right. The superego is there for an individual's moral code and helps in striving for perfection. Its primary purpose is according to restrain aggressive impulses of it rather than seek to postpone them as does the ego, right. So superego is what? The another factor, the third factor is the superego strives for the perfection. Superego is what? Superego is actually the approved behavior factors. It reinforces the approved behavior factors, right. Approved behavior factor is what is acceptable in this society and not. Totally depends on the internalization of the society. Internalization of society means what? Internalization means when we learn what is acceptable in society or what is not acceptable in society, when we learn our roles, how to play our roles in this society in an acceptable manner. So superego strives for the perfection and it reinforces on the approved behavior pattern, right. That is, this approved behavior pattern results from the internalization of society or the parental standard. What is good, what is bad, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. The superego is therefore the individual. What is superego? The morale of an individual, and it helps in striving the perfection. The primary function of purpose is according to restrain the aggressive impulses of ed rather than seek to postpone them. So they restrict the aggressive impulses. So psychoanalytical theory of food states that there are three forces which helps in development of a personality: the id, ego, and the superego. Id is like a child. It is like a child. They want like a child. They want to have each and everything, right. It is like it works on the pleasurable principle. They don't care about this society. They want each and everything, even if it requires the violation of certain societal code, right. That is the id. Ego works on the rational principle, right. A rational principle. Ego try to satisfy the needs of it in a rational way. At times, the needs and the wants or the demand of the ego could be unrealistic. So ego try to either postpone those demands or deflect or substitute the feasible alternatives to satisfy the needs of id. While superego is the third force, superego strives for the perfection. Superego is what? Superego is actually work on the approved behavior pattern. That is approved behavior pattern. Approved behavior pattern means what is accepted in this society, and approved behavior pattern comes from the internalization of the society and through the parental standard. What is good, what is bad, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. It actually is the morale code and helps in striving for the perfection. And this tried this superego tried to restrain the aggressive impulses of ed, right? It restrains the aggressive impulses of ed rather than seek to postpone them, right? The next theory is social psychological or neo-freudian theory, right? Neo social psychological neo-freudian theory. Consumer have consequently been classified into three personality groups using what is called the CAD model. CAD is an acronym stand for compliance, aggression, and detachment. According to Neo-Freudian theory, that consumers have been classified into three personalities. There are the three personalities of the consumer, and they used an acronym CAD. Right? CAD is what? CAD is the compliance, right? The aggression and the detachment. Compliant individual. These individuals tend to move towards others, right? Complain Compliant people have need for love, affection, approval, and desire to be appreciated. These are essentially conformist. So the Neo-Freudian theory has explained the three types of the personalities. That is the compliant individual, the aggressive individual, and the detached individual. Compliant individuals are those who always seeks for others opinion, right? They tend to move towards they tend these individuals tend to move towards the others, right? They need love, affection, approval, and desire to be appreciated. They are essentially conformist. They look for others for their opinion, right? So their personality depends on the other on others response, right? Aggressive individuals, they tend to move against others. Compliant trend to move towards others, right? Right, they need love, affection, and desire to be appreciated. They are essentially conformist. And aggressive individuals are those which move against others. Their interpersonal orientation displays the ability to manipulate others. Such individual appears to have a need. Such individuals, ap- such individuals also appear to have a need to achieve success, right? To excel, to gain admirations, and to be in power position. So, aggressive individual actually moves, or the aggressive personality actually moves against others, right? They display the ability to manipulate others. Such individuals appears to have need to achieve success. They strive for success, right? They try to excel, and they gain admirations and to be in power position. They try to achieve that power position. While the detached individual, this category of a person tend to move away from others. Their relationship emphasis on the self-reliance, independence, and freedom is the detached individual. So why it is important to understand the personality of the individual, so that accordingly you can plan your so that you can understand how a consumer behaves, and how can who could be your target consumer, right? Or how can you approach your target consumer by understanding their personalities. There are many ways you can and marketer can use these theories, right? So first is the compliant individual, another is the aggressive individual, right? And the third is the detached individual. Application of social psychological theory has been found that individual having a different personality types tend to use the different products and the brands. That what I told you, that they tend to have a different products or their brands. So accordingly you can find out your target consumer, who could be a target consumer for your product, or you can develop product according to the needs and wants of your target consumer, right? The CAD model was in fact developed for a specific purpose of studying buying behavior and emphasizes the effect of social influence on the personality, right? So it was developed, this CAD model was developed to understand the buying behavior of aggressive personal, or detached personal, or compliant individual, right? And to understand, and it emphasizes the effect of social influence on the personality, right? Studies have shown that the compliant type have been found to prefer known products and the brands. Compliant because they look for others, right? So they always prefer the known product or the brand. They don't want to take any sort of the risk, right? They look for the others' opinions, love, affection, right? And they play safe. So the compliant people, the compliant personality, right, they prefer the products, they prefer the known products or the brand, while the aggressive type, which goes against the people, right, and they want to be the power, they want to be at the power position, found to prefer specific brand out of desire to be noticed, right? Because they want power positions, they want to be noticed, so they prefer specific brands out of desire to be noticed. While detached type appear to have least awareness of the brand, they don't care about the brand, their needs or wants should be fulfilled, whether it's any brand. With any of the brands, they don't care, they are least aware about the brands, right? So, through this, you can understand who could be a target consumers, or how these personalities take their purchase decisions, right? Okay, the theory of self concept. Self concept refers to attitude of a person holds towards him or herself. See, it is very important, right? The self concept is very important. What is attitude? Perception. Attitude is nothing but the perception. We discussed it in our last lecture, right? So, self concept is what? Self concept is what one thinks about oneself. It plays a very important role, right? That is the attitude of a person holds towards him or herself. What the attitude one holds for oneself is self concept. This theory holds that individuals have a concept of self based on who they think they are, and the concept of who they think they would like to be. So, self concept, this theory holds the individual a concept of self based on the two things, that is the actual self and the ideal self. Actual self is who they think they are, who they think they are, and the second concept is who they think they would like to be. The self concept theory is related to the psychoanalytical theory. The first one, Freud's theory, since the actual self is similar to ego, right, and the ideal self is similar to self superego, right? Ego is what? Ego is a realistic principle. It works on the realistic principle, that is who they think they are. And super ego strives for the perfection, how they would like to be, right? The idea of this self concept theory is governed by the desire to attain self consistency and desire to enhance one's self esteem. So self theory actually is governed. How self theory is governed? The self theory is governed the desire to attain self consistency. It is very important. This self theory or this self consistency plays an important role and enhance one's self esteem. Consumer buy products that conforms to their actual self image, but if they are low in self esteem, they are more likely to buy based on what they would like to be rather than what they are. Right? So, self concept theory actually works on the two principles. First is what they actually are and what they would like to be. Right? So, actually, consumer buy the product that conforms to their actual self image. if what I think, what I am, what suits me, right? If I buy that product according to my needs, according to my self image, then that is self image, then it confirms their self image. But if consumer is low in self esteem, right, they are more likely to buy based on what they would like to be rather than what they are. If I am happy, I'm satisfied with my self image, right, what I am, I prefer to buy the things what actually suits me according to my actual self. And this self concept theory is governed, actually self concept theory is governed by the self consistency, how consistent one is with oneself, and desire to enhance the one's self esteem. And if one is low in self esteem, one feels like one is low in self esteem, then they would prefer to buy the product, right, what they would like to be rather than what they are. Buying to achieve an unrealizable self image can lead to a compulsive purchasing behavior, right? If you are that is buying to achieve an unrealizable self image can lead to a compulsive purchasing behavior. That is when you want to be someone, when you what you would like to be, when you purchase on the basis of what you would like to be, it can lead to a compulsive purchasing behavior, right? That I want that. Another dimension of self concept theory is extended self. Certain products have symbolic values and are considered an extension of personality. Example, a car. This extension of self concept theory is a fact, has been called a symbolic interactionism because it emphasizes the interaction between the individual and symbols in their environment. So, self concept actually based on the three things. The first is actually what one thinks, what one actually is, that is the reality, what one would like to be, and the third is extended self. If one purchases according to if and it actually works on the two forces works on this, right, that is the self consistency and self esteem, right? So consumer normally buy the product that conforms to their actual self image, right? We buy what suits us, right? And if consumer is low in self esteem, then they would like to purchase the things that could lead to that would like to be rather than what they are, right? If low in self esteem, right? And this could lead to a compulsive purchasing behavior. And third is the extended self, what one would like to be, right? That is, it is an extension of a personality. There are certain symbolic value that are considered an extension in our personality. Example is car. If one is having a small car, that shows that reveal that if one feels like if one is owning a small car, that mm, impacts the personality, and owning a big car, a more expensive car, right, it enhances the personality. That again, it depends, this is known as the extended self, right? So impact on the extended self, and this is known as the symbolic. And this extension of self concept theory is called the symbolic interactionism, right? And advertisers have understood the symbolic role of a product in influencing this self image. Advertisement for jewelry, cosmetics, automobiles, clothing frequently communicates an image of the users. If you will use this jewelry, Tanishq jewelry, this shows that you are rich. Or if you use this cosmetic, you will look younger, or you will look as beautiful or as smart as Mr. X or Miss Y, right? So, and the clothing, it enhances that the clothing, as we know, you if you remember the ads of CRM or Raymond's, right? They frequently communicates the image of the user, If you use a shirt of a particular brand, the advertisers present it in a different way that it enhances your personality. So this symbolic interaction is this symbol. These advertiser understood this symbolic interaction, right? And they used this symbolic role of product in influencing the self image, right? um, uh, uh, Now the consumer motivation. So self image, we discussed about the self image and the personality. Self image plays a very important role, right? It plays a very important role, and there are various theories related to the self image, and advertisers or the marketer uses these theories, right? Once again, we discussed in this we discussed various theories like the psychoanalytical theory of Freud, right? Freud, what is personality? First of all, personality is nothing but the psychological makeup, and how it consistently influence the way person respond to his or her needs, right? Psychoanalytical theory of Freud states that there are three parts of an individual: the id, ego, and superego. Id is like a child. They want to, like a consumer, want to have each and everything at each and every cost, at any cost, right? It is like that. Then ego is what? Ego is that it works on the pleasurable principle, while ego works on the realistic principle. The ego tries to satisfy the needs of the id in a realistic way, through the postponement or through introducing the substitute for the product. And the superego, the third factor, is the superego of a personality. The superego looks for the perfection, right? And the superego, right, it looks for the perfection. How it looks for the perfection? Actually, the superego internalizes the socialization. It internalizes the socialization and consider what is acceptable in the society, what is not, what is good, what is bad. So it rather than postponing the demands of the id, like ego, it straightway restrain the aggressive impulses of the id. It straightway restrain the impulses ego. Then there was a neo-Freudian theory. Neo-Freudian theory is actually very helpful to for the marketers, right? Neo-Freudian theory, actually a CAD model has been developed, and the CAD is an acronym. Acronym means C stands for the compliance, A for aggression, and D for detachment, right? Compliant individuals are those individuals who always look others for their opinions, right? And they play very safe, right? And they need for love, they look for the love, affection, and approval, and desire to be appreciated. So these type of people actually go with the brands, right? A well-known brands, they play safe because they desire to be appreciated. They look for the approvals, and then they feel like if they will use a well-known brand, it will they will able to get the affection, approval, and appreciated by the other. While the aggressive individual move against the others, and the individuals appear to achieve success. They want to achieve success, they want to excel, they want to gain control, attention, and the power position. So they will prefer to buy the things from which they can get noticed by the others, right? They can be noticed by the other. They try to prefer a specific brand out of desire to be noticed. And the detached type of the consumers are those consumers, they don't about the brands, right? They don't consider, they don't know, they don't consider, they are least aware about the brands. It hardly matters, right? The brand hardly matters to them, their need should be fulfilled. Then comes the theory of self concept. It is very important theory, and marketers used it in a well defined manner, right? This Self concept is what? Self concept is what one's perception is about oneself. The attitude of a person holds towards him or herself is self concept, right? What an individual thinks about oneself, right? So this is the self concept theory. Self concept theory actually works on the two things, that is the actual self and the ideal self. Actual self is what one really is, and ideal self is what one would like to be, how one would like to be, right? When a purchaser or when a consumer buys the product according to the actual self, and it works again, this self concept theory is governed by two things, that is self consistency, and second is low esteem. When a consumer is well aware about the personality and happy with this self personality, self consistency, then they will generally prefer to purchase the product what suits their personality. But what if consumer is low in self esteem, then they will like to buy the product, then they would buy the product on the basis of what they would like to be rather than what they are, right? And this leads to the compulsive purchasing behavior. The another dimension of this is extended self. Extended self is it is related to the symbolic values, right? Certain products have a certain symbolic values, right? A big car, a small car, right? Like a car of a particular brand, a costlier car, or a cosmetic of a particular brand, they have a certain symbolic value and considered as an extension of our personality. And marketer used it in an efficient and effective manner, right? The advertiser understood this symbolic role of the product, right? They understood that symbolic role of a product in enhancing the self image, right? Like advertiser used this clothing in the ads of clothes, right? This symbolic role plays a very important role, like, right, cosmetics, jewelry, right? They communicates the image of the user. If you are using if you are using a particular brand of a cosmetic or a jewelry or of a cloth, this will enhance your image, or it communicates that you have a good image or a personality. Next is consumer motivation. What is motivation? Right? Motivation. The reason for one's action is motivation. The desire to do something is motivation. And this motivation plays a very important role. Right? Motivation is the driving force within the individual that implies them to action. That is what I told you. The reason for one's action is motivation. Why should I do this? Why should I purchase this? Why do I need this? Yes, I do need. That is the internal desires. Motivation is the driving force within an individual that implies them to the action, the desires, the needs, the force, driving force of an individual. Needs are essence of the marketing concepts. Marketer do not create the needs but can make consumer aware about the needs, right? What is marketing? Marketing is creating a needs. Rather than creating a needs, it is more about making the consumer aware about the needs, right? Needs might be there, but consumer might not be aware of their needs. They what the marketing does, the marketers make the consumer about the needs, right? So motivation is a reason for one's action is motivation, and it is the driving force within an individual that implies them to action. This is the motivation process model. How motivation? Motivation is what? That is how it works. That is unfulfilled needs, wants, and desires. Everyone has some unfulfilled needs, wants, and desire. We want to have something, but because of any of these reasons, not able to fulfill our desire, needs, or wants, and this leads to the tension, right? Because we want to have this, but we cannot we are not able to fulfill our needs. This leads to tension, and this tension leads to drive, right? This leads to drive, right? That we should, what should we do then? Personality, perception, learning, and attitude plays an important role in this. We discussed about the personality today, we discussed about the perception, learning, and attitude in our previous lecture. All these forces, these internal forces, plays an important role, and this leads to the behavior, right? Then we start behaving in a particular way, and then we try to fulfill our needs, goals or needs fulfillment. This leads to the goal or needs fulfillment. And this, when we are able to fulfill our needs, this reduces our tension, right? This reduces our, this is the motivation process model. There are certain unfulfilled needs, which leads to the tension, and because of this, tension drives us to take the action. Then various other factors like personality, perception, learning, attitude, that is the individual factor, plays an important role in this drive. And these factors leads, and the drive leads to behavior, right? And behavior, we start behaving in a particular way so that we can fulfill our needs, and this leads to the goal or the needs fulfillment. And when our goals or needs have been fulfilled, it then it releases our tension. This is motivation process model. There are types of the needs. There are certain types of the needs, like innate needs and the acquired needs. Innate needs, the psychological needs or the biogenical needs, that are considered as a primary needs or the motives, like food, shelter, sleep, right? All these are the biological needs. Certain psychological, physiological needs. Physiological needs are considered the primary needs or the motives. These are the innate needs which are required. We need, they like food, clothes, shelter, then sleep, sex. All these are innate needs or biogenic needs. Acquired needs, learned in response to our culture and environment, are generally psychological and considered as secondary needs. Physiological needs are innate needs and are the primary needs. Everyone needs it, despite of any type of a society, despite of any type of a class you belong to, anything. These are the primary needs or the innate needs or the physiological needs or the biogenic needs. Food, everyone needs food, everyone needs clothes, everyone needs shelter, everyone needs everyone has a desire for sex, everyone wants to sleep. Their sleep is even our innate needs, physiological needs. Then the acquire needs is acquire, as the name indicates, acquire, which we acquire. This is acquire is how can we acquire the thing? Through learning. Learned in response to our culture and environment. When we according to our culture, according to environment, we learn. There are certain needs which we acquire because of our culture and environment, and they are generally psychological needs and are considered as secondary needs, right? Goals. See, goals, if you remember this, goals or needs have been fulfilled. Now, what is goals? They sought after results of motivated behavior, right? When we are motivated, right? Motivation is when we take action to fulfill our needs, right? These are the sought after the results of motivated behavior. There are two type of goals: the generic goals and the product specific goals. Generic goals are the general categories of goal that a consumer see as way to fulfill their needs, right? And generic goals are general categories of goals that consumers see as a way to fulfill their needs. These are the generic goals, right? Our daily needs, right? There are certain products or the needs, those are generic type of a product. Every consumer wants that product specific goals. What are the product specific goals? Are specifically branded product or services that consumers select as their goals, right? While what is the product specific goals are the branded product or services that a consumer select as their goals. Again, go back to that model, right? Unfulfilled needs or wants, it could be the generic goals, right? It could be the generic fulfill generic product, or it could be the product specific, brand specific product. It leads to the tension. Then it drives us. It drives us means it which drives us to take action. This these unfulfilled needs gives us a reason to take actions, right? And then personality, perception, learning, attitude plays these factors plays an important role in this drive, and it this leads to the behavior, and behavior means take action. And then fulfill our needs or the goals. Need could be the generic type of the goal or the needs, or the specific product specific needs or the goal. Generic needs are those goals which are which are generic type of the needs, but that is required by everyone, right? As a way to fulfill their needs. General categories of goals. And the product specific goals are specifically branded product or the services that consumers select as a their goal. That I want cosmetic of that product, or I want jewelry of that particular brand, or I want that particular car, or I want that particular clothing of that particular brand, right? That is the product specific goal. Or generic goals is, if I want to have something, say I want to have a bread and a egg, then this is a generic goal, right? Selection of goals, how one selects a goal, right? So selection of goals, that is whether it's a generic goal or whether it's a product specific goal, that is the goal selected by an individual depends on what, depends on many factors, like your personal experiences of an individual, the physical capacity of individual, the prevailing culture, norms and values, and the goals of accessibility in physical and the social environments, right? So selection of goals depends on many things. You cannot select it like anything. I have selected this. There are certain factors which plays an important role in selection of a goal. First is the personal experiences. It plays a very important role. If a person has a good experience with a particular brand or a product, right, or might have heard about it, right, then the personal experiences plays an important role in selection of a goal. I have experienced that a product of a particular brand is better than the product wise, than the brand wide, right? Then the physical capacity, right? Physical capacity plays an important role. Cultural, prevailing culture, norms and value. At times we want to have something, but but again the society, the culture, the norms plays an important role. The values of an individual plays an important role. There are certain things which we cannot do because of the restrictions from the culture, from the society, or which is not according to our values and the norms. So the prevailing culture, norms, values, it plays an important role in the selection of goals. And goals accessibilities in the physical and the social environment, right? Motivation and goals, right? It could be positive as well as it could be negative. Motivation, a driving force towards this some object or a condition is motivation, right? Approach goal, approach goal, a positive goal towards with which behavior is directed. Driving force, remember, again go back to that model. Driving force is what is a motivation, the driving force towards this some object. Then those perception, personalities, behavior played an important role, and it leads to the goals. Then the approach goal, this motivation leads to goal, and the positive goal towards which behavior is directed. Negative goals, negative is motivation, a driving force away from object or condition, right? No, we don't want this, right? Avoidance goals is a negative goal from which behavior is directed away, right? So goal could be the positive or negative, right? So motivation could be positive or negative. Motivation is a driving force towards some object or condition is positive, and the positive goals towards which behavior is directed. Negative are driving forces away from the some object or the condition, and a negative goal from which behavior is directed away, right? Rational versus emotional motives. Motives are of many types again. Like rational motives could be there, or emotional motives could be there. Rationality, as the name indicates, the rationality implies that the consumer select the goals based on totally objective criterias such as size, weight, price, miles per gallon, or anything like that. Rationality motives is when consumers select the goal based on the rationality, based on the reality, right? Based on certain objective criterias. It could be on the basis of weight, it could be on the basis of size, it could be on the basis of price, it could be on the basis of packaging, it could be on the basis of features, right? So that these are the rational motives. Rational motives are when the consumer select the goals based on the totally objective criteria. There are certain criteria. Emotional motives or emotional goals. Emotional motives implies the selection of goals according to personal or subjective criteria, right? So emotional objectives or emotional motives are when the selection of goals according to the personal or subjective criteria. At times we make the emotional decisions rather than the rational decisions. So there could be the rational motives or the emotional motives. Rational motives when it is based on the totally when it is totally based on the objective criteria, then it is rational. Emotional is selection of goals according to the personal or subjective criteria. The dynamics of motivation. See, needs are never fully satisfied. New needs emerges as the old needs are satisfied. People who achieve their goals set new and higher goals for themselves. See, this is the dynamics of motivation, right? Needs are never fully satisfied. We cannot say that my needs are fulfilled, my desires are fulfilled. Now I don't have any other needs or desire. New need emerges as the old needs are satisfied, right? If x need is satisfied, then y will arise, then y will emerge. New need emerges as the all needs are satisfied. And people who achieve their goal set new and higher goals for themselves. Suppose I have achieved this thing, now I want better than that, I'll strive for better than that, right? People who achieve their goals set new needs or the higher goals for themselves. This is the dynamics of motivation, right? So this is how the motivation plays an important role, and marketers take advantage of this, right? Then there are the substitute goals, right? Substitute goals are even there. Substitute goals are used when a consumer cannot attain a specific goal he or she anticipates will satisfy a need. Suppose if consumer is not able to attain a specific goal to that to goal, if a consumer is not able to purchase anything, right? Say if he wants or she wants to purchase y product of brand Z, right, and not able to purchase that y product of brand Z, then they will look for a substitute goal. They are used when a consumer cannot attain a specific goal here he or she anticipates will satisfy a need. The substitute goal will dispel the tension, right? Go back to that model. Dispel this substitute goal, dispel the tension, right? Needs lead to tension, tension leads to drive, right? And then again various forces, external and internal forces play an important role. It leads to behavior, and then it leads to the fulfillment of goals, and then it dispels the tensions. Remember that model, it dispels the tension. So substitute goals are used when the consumer cannot attain a specific goal he or she anticipates will satisfy a need. The substitute goal will dispel the tension. Substitute goal may actually replaces the primary goal over time, right? If I'm not able to purchase a certain product of a certain brand, then the substitute product can dispel my tension. I can buy that, right? It can dispel my tension, and the substitute goal may actually replaces the primary goal over a time, right? Then the frustration, failure to achieve a goal may result in frustration. Some adapt, other adapt defense mechanism to protect their egos, right? Arousals of motives. How motive arises? Through physiological arousals, emotional, cognitive, and environmental arousals. Right? Philosophies concerned with arousals of motives. There are philosophies related to this motives, right? That is the behaviorist school. Behavior is response to stimulus. Elements of conscious thoughts are to be ignored, and consumer does not act but react. This is behavior school. Behavior school states that behavior is response to stimulus. There are certain stimulus, there are certain factor which actually leads to a specific type of a behavior. Elements of conscious thoughts are being ignored, are to be are to be ignored because of these stimulus, and consumer does not act but react. Cognitive school behavior is directed at goal achievement. Needs, past experience are reasoned, categorized, and transformed into attitude and beliefs. There are certain philosophies. First, the behaviorist school states that there are certain stimulus which are responsible for the formation of the behavior, or which are responsible for the behavior, and elements of conscious thoughts are to be ignored, and consumer does not act but react according to the stimuli. While the cognitive school, according to the cognitive school, behavior is directed at the goal achievement, and actually the needs and the past experience are reasoned, categorized, and transformed into the attitude and belief, right? So attitude, belief, and the past experience plays an important role, and behavior is directed at the goal achievement, right? Types and the system of needs. There are certain types and the system of needs. Various theories have been proposed in this. The first is the Henry Murray's 28 psychogenic needs. Then the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of need theory is there, and a trio of need theory is there. All these theories are related to the motivation and how they impact the needs and the wants of the consumer. Murray's list of psychogenic needs, right? There are, according to the Murray's, there are certain psychogenic needs, and he classified it into the various categories, right? First is needs associated with inanimate objects like acquisition, conservancy, order, retention, construction. So people want to acquire certain thing, to conserve certain thing, right? They want to retain the certain products, right? Then these are associated with inanimate objects. Then another is the needs reflecting the ambition, power, accomplishment, and prestige. There people have needs, they have certain ambitions, they want power, accomplishment, and the prestige, right? So their needs are some people want to be superior than the others, then accordingly they behave, they motivate and try to achieve their goals. Achievements, they want to achieve certain things. Recognition plays an important role in this. Exhibition, they want to exhibit certain thing, so that it is related to prestige and influence. Then needs connected with human power. There are certain needs which are connected to human power, like dominance, right? When you want to dominate other, deference, when you want to defer, right? Similar. then autonomy and the contrariance, right? When you then another psychogenic needs is sadomasochistic needs like aggression and abasement. Need concerned with affection between people like affiliations, right? These are type of the needs. Rejection, nurturance, right? Play. Need concerned with the social intercourse like cognizance and the expositions, right? So these are the psychogenic needs, and marketer and should understand, and they understand these type of a needs, and then they use these models or the needs to influence the consumer behavior. Next is Maslow hierarchy of need theory. Abraham Maslow has given this theory. This theory is Maslow hierarchy of needs theory. According to Abraham Maslow, there are the human being goes through the various phases in their life, and and in each and every phase there are the different needs of human beings, and these needs motivates an individual to take action to fulfill their needs, right? And in each and every phase there are five phases of the life according to the Maslow, and in each and every phase there are the different needs, and the needs start from the physiological needs, like goals could be the food, water, air, shelter, sex. All these are the physiological needs. Everyone wants to, these are also known as the basic needs. What we want, everyone needs food, everyone needs water, air, shelter, right? Clothes, sex, sleep. All these are the physiological needs. All these physiological needs helps us motivates the individual, right? So whenever you see the ad of water purifier, right, or a builder, right, they understand this. This is the physiological need, and everyone needs this, and they exploit their needs. Safety and next phase is next type of needs is safety and security needs. Safety and security needs like protection, stability, order. All these are safety and security needs like job, financial securities, social securities. Then comes the social needs. Social needs is the need of belongingness, friendship, affection, intimate relationships. All these are the social needs. After this, ego needs or the esteem needs like prestige, status, self-esteem, what like it is related to car, jewelry, or other things. And then the self-actualization or self-fulfillment. Self-actualization is when we want something only for what suits us, right? That is self-actualization needs. The third theory is the trio of needs theory. There are three things, that is the power, affiliation, and achievement. Everyone needs power, affiliation, and achievements, right? So power and individuals desire to control the environment. So this individual desires to control the environment. Power motivates the individual to take actions. Affiliation, kar lo duniya muthi mein, right? Power, right? So this shows that this is individual desire to control the environment. Affiliation, needs for friendship, acceptance, and the belongingness. Everyone needs friendship, acceptance, and belongingness, right? When you see the ad of Cadbury, right, that shows that is based on this affiliation needs. Achievement, need for the personal accomplishment, like ad of CRM, or that is ad of a luxury car, right? Need of the personal accomplishment are closely related to egoistic or the self actualization needs, right? Measurement of motives, there are that the research rely on the combination of techniques, right? So there could be various ways you can measure the motivation. right? So today we discussed about the personality and the self concept and the motivation, how personality and self concept and motivation plays an important role in consumer decision making, how it impacts the consumer decision making and consumer behavior, right? In our next lecture we'll discuss about few other factors. Till then, namaskar.